Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mediation and Beyond YouTube channel. Thank you all for stopping by. I absolutely know you're going to love this next segment. I have the honor and really privilege of having Elaine Cobb on our program today. Elaine is president and founder of Family Access, Fighting for Children's Rights. She is an alienated mom and grandmother and speaks professionally and profoundly around parental alienation. Her organization, Family Access Fighting for Children's Rights, was founded in 2012, and it really has, I want to say, blown up and taken off, and it is quite an impressive organization full of experts globally, really. And today I have the privilege of speaking with her about what the organization is about, what she's using the platform for, and then we're just going to have an additional dialogue around that. So thank you, Elaine. Welcome to Mediation and Beyond YouTube. I really appreciate you coming.
Thank you, Colleen. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. And so can you share with us, Elaine, just a little bit about, what got you started?
Okay. As you have already mentioned, I am an alienated mom and grandmom, and we started our organization April 2012. I had been in a very unusual state that I felt was unusual, but now as I've been in the cause for 8 years now, I realized there's millions of us out there that are just like this, that are going through the same thing. I felt like I was a horrible mother. I felt like I was the only person in the world that was dealing with this. No one else could possibly be going through this hell on earth like this. And I just got tired of sitting there every night crying and feeling sorry for myself, and decided, something's got to give. We're going to have to turn this around and make it better. I can't sit here every night and cry and feel sorry for me and know that there's something that I should be doing. So I thought of doing the Family Access Fighting for Children's Rights. And when we started, I was just doing it in North Carolina because I was actually wanting to work on grandparents' rights as well, because we do have our granddaughter Dare, who is now 9 years old. She turned 9 June 4th. And I wanted to be able to have, access to her because, alienation is total abuse. We all know that. It's been proven that it is abuse and it needs to be brought more out. And so we were looking to fight for grandparents' rights here in North Carolina. And so then I went on the internet. I started on Facebook and just started, talking to people on there with our Facebook page. And it just blew up, as you said. I was like, I cannot believe there's so many people out there that are going through the same thing and have felt the same thing I have. And so I was like, okay, we've got to do something for these children to have access to their family, because they have every right. They're not pawns. They're not property. They're human beings, and they should have a right to their family members. No one should be kept away from their family, their God-given family, and they need to be able to be with them. So we started doing our calls. At first, they were just a national call. We started working through the United States, and we started in August of 2012. It'll be 8 years next month, and we did the monthly. And before long, people from other countries were wanting to be involved as well. We now have 37 countries involved with our calls, and we're over 1,100 on calls at this time. Every time we get a new country, though, it really makes me very sad, because I see, this is an epidemic all over everywhere in the world. And our country of, the United States is really needing much, done in our courts. But, other countries that are third world countries that we have on our calls are in even worse shape than what we are in. So we are much more ahead of the game in a lot of ways than they are. However, we've got a lot of ways to go. And and so, you know, we've been alienated from our son, Brian. This is our second time. The first time for 2.5 years. He came back for almost a year. And then he was gone again in December. It'll be 10 years since Brian left us. And we've never been told why. There was no argument. There was nothing. He just walked out of our lives. And, you know, he was at that point married, and his wife at that point didn't want anything to do with our family. And we know that had a lot to do with it. And as you know, Colleen, brainwashing is a major part of alienation, not only with the smaller children, but also the adult children as well.
Well, it's very hard to prove, right? We know it exists, but it's something that's very hard to prove.
Well, you see the transformation in your child, and basically the child is, you know, the child that they are now, your child is really not the child you raised. They're more like a shell of the child you raised, and they're a totally different person. And it makes such a huge difference. And Dr. J. Michael Bone spoke on one of our calls 4 or 5 years ago, and he spoke on the subject of brainwashing. It's one of the best calls we ever had, and I literally sobbed through the whole call because I did not realize the impact this has on adult children and smaller children. And what's sadder, smaller children, I mean, they're more susceptible to things and what it's doing to them. You know, I deal with people all the time, you know, through email, on the phone, and these children are just totally being brainwashed, used, and scarred for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, and Elaine, when you speak about professionals on the calls, can you speak to some of the areas of professionalism or expertise that have been on your call, and how does somebody get on a call? Like, how does that work? How does the platform work?
Okay, as far as somebody calls in or somebody.
Yeah, so if somebody wants to, so somebody's listening to our conversation today and they're like, wow, I'm experiencing this. I need to listen to some experts, and how do I get in touch? How do you get on a call? Are they private? Are they Zoom so everybody sees each other? How does it work?
Okay, first off, to the first part of your question, as far as the experts, we are really fortunate to have the top experts in the world do our calls. They are readily available to us. I mean, it's amazing and so blessed and encouraging to me as a person that works in the calls, that whatever I've asked of them, they're right there doing it. And it's been a big encouragement and help to know that many of them, not all of the professionals out there in the world, are not in it for the money, they're in it for the cause. And that makes a big difference. Personally, Family Access doesn't really want to deal with those that are in it to make a buck and not really care. We have had literally I don't know how many hundreds, but over 100 of people that we've turned away because we didn't feel like they were in it for the children. And that's what we care about, is the children and grandchildren. But we are blessed to have people like Dr. Stephen Miller, Dr. J. Michael Bone, Dr. Bob Evans, Linda Gottlieb, Dr. William Burnett, Brian Ludmer, Robert Hoffman, Dr. Mark Mosk. I'm trying to think of everybody, and I'm going to leave people out. You probably can help me with the names. I mean, we are so blessed to have so many people to be there and to do our calls. And Ashish Jossi, he's another one, you know, that's there for us all the time. He's just himself started a new, just this past weekend, started a new thing where he's going to do podcasts, and that's great. If people want to do the calls, they can email me at FamilyAccessinc@AOL.com. We also have a huge website, which has an enormous amount of information there, not only for alienated family members, but also for professionals that work in the field of alienation. That is our biggest thing right now, and my biggest burden and prayer is that we are able to bring out more information, true science. There's a lot of crap out there that is not true, and it's hurting in court when they go to court with stuff that's not been proven, peer pressured, peer reviewed, and everything. Those things matter when you get in a courtroom, and so we are blessed that we have these experts who do give the top true science and the most current science out there, and so we have our website. Many of our experts have a web page on our website. They update it. They send me things to update it on a regular basis. As you see, I send the emails. We had some this weekend.
Yeah.
And
no, it's a great list of resources. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Our main goal is people, first off, know what alienation is. Alienation is child abuse, period. It's also abuse to, it's elder abuse with the grandparents that are being kept from their children, their grandchildren. It's also abuse to the parents who are being kept from their children. Who would have ever thought that a parent has to go to spend thousands of dollars to have access to their own child, their own flesh and blood? Who would have ever thought? But it's worse than it ever was. And we are really into people getting on there, understanding what alienation is, both professional and alienated family members, and then how to deal with it. I had 3 dads over the weekend, actually, who are really in severe stress mode over not having their children. And so I encouraged them to go and check out some of the videos on our website that they could listen to. How do you deal with your child? You don't want to say the wrong things. You want to know what to say. And Colleen, I know you deal with that on a regular basis as well, and with your people. And it's important. So that's why we have our website. That's why we have the calls. And the calls also are a major support to our people and the professionals. And it's encouraging to them. I know we've had 2 or 3 that email me and said, Elaine, I know you may think this is silly, but at the end of the call, that's my favorite part, where everybody says good night and bye, and you open the phone line back up, and they said that encourages me till the next call, because I realize I'm not alone in this. And that's important for everybody. Anybody that's watching or listening to this, you are not alone. There are millions out there going through the same thing. A lot of what's going on, it's not your fault. You're dealing with people with mental disorders and behavioral issues. And it's, well, as a Christian, I know Satan is involved in that as well, in trying to destroy the family. And that's happening as much out there too. But no, you're not alone. And so we try to let people know that. As far as people on calls, our calls are very private. That's why we really don't do Zoom that much. We don't do it at all. But some are wanting us to, but our calls are so big, so I'm not sure. But we want to keep the calls where we have people that talk on the calls, during the calls, or their questions or whatever, and we want them to be protected, because a lot of them are in court, and we want to make sure that there's no issues with the alienator or anybody else that could harm their case in court. So it's really very private, because you're on our calls but me. And
so it just really lists, the people will call in, and then they can hear the expert speaking on the topic, that whatever they're speaking on, and then you have people submit questions ahead of time, correct? And then you can ask some of these questions, right? Did I lose you, Elaine? Elaine? Elaine?
Okay.
So Elaine, that people will call in, and they will listen to the show and they can submit questions ahead of time, but it's not a show where you call in and you talk and people go back and forth with a question answer period, right? Because there's just too many people on the call to be able to do that. Is that correct?
Absolutely. It would be a total circus if we were to do it that way. Sometimes at the end of the call, we have had some of our guests stay on. I would know that they're going to do it, but the callers don't know. Sometimes if they have extra time, they'll say, Elaine, if you want, I can stay on after the call and answer a few questions. And sometimes that's been good. That works out really well. Linda Gottlieb's good at doing that. Dr. Miller, Ludmer's done it. I don't know. I can't think right now of who else, but I forgot to also mention Dr. Amy Baker is on our call.
Yeah, she's good.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. So, and we also are now doing videos where a lot of the experts are sending me 2 and 3 videos that are 2 and 3 minutes long, and I'm putting those on their webpage too. And they're picking special topics to put on there. And we also have a conference coming up that we were having in May. Now, May 2021, we were having it in October, but because of the epidemic, we postponed it. And that's going to be on helping courts understand the phenomenon of alienation. It is totally on the courts, which is the hottest topic of all, which is where it's most needed. And that will be a 2.5-day session. And we've got some excellent experts that will be there. And, that's something that I hope many will come. Many have registered before the pandemic.
Right.
And we had 2 that had requested a refund, but no one else. So it's really good that everybody's still ready to go. And we're really looking forward to that next May. We're also looking to have in the fall of 2021, possibly a 1-day symposium for parents who are alienated or estranged, because there is a difference in alienation and estrangement from their adult child or they're a grandparent. And we're going to do that. And at that one, we'll have Dr. Amy Baker, Dr. J. Michael Bone, and also Dr. Carol Golly, who I forgot to mention. I knew I'd start forgetting people. And I don't mean to. Sorry, Carol. She's a friend. But anyway,
Elaine,
we're excited about.
No, let me ask this too. And the reason the courts have an issue partly with this is I remember, they were trying to get parental alienation into the DSM, the mental health kind of handbook, right? Diagnostic Statistical Manual. But it has not been put in there as a mental health issue. And so is that something that's still being kind of pursued? And that's one of the reasons also that the calls are still, so important, that you have actually mental health professionals saying, no, this is a diagnosis. This is a problem.
Yes, they are still trying to pursue that. And the World Health Organization did come out and say alienation is child abuse. And I think it was last year or the year before. I think it was more like last year that it is child abuse. But yes, they're still working with that. And more papers and articles are coming out. But you've got a lot of different groups out there that are trying to hinder. And I'm not going to start mentioning names because that could get sticky. But that are trying to hold it back. The one thing that really, to me, and I'm going to step out here, I've said it before, but now I'm doing it for the world, but the gender bias needs to go away. The dads and the moms need to work more together on alienation and not say they're always mean to the dad, they're always mean to the mom. It's everybody. Truly, I deal with so many people. It's pretty even when it comes to moms and dads both being alienated from their children these days. It used to be dads more, but now the moms are really getting that way. But instead of all these little groups wanting to be power hungry for power or whatever, they need to work more as a team so we can get more accomplished. And
alienation really knows no gender.
Absolutely not. And you and I both see that on a daily basis. I mean, you know, like I said, I get emails, I get private messages, I get calls, texts, you know, it's unbelievable. You know, it's everywhere. It's no matter what parent, no matter what grandparent, you know, it's everywhere.
Are the courts, do they receive training? Do you know, Elaine, if the courts receive any
They
training?
not that much on alienation.
Okay.
That is the really top thing that we're doing now with this. Our main focus is the people that work in the courts, including the judges, need to understand alienation. And and we've had judges come to our international seminar calls. Not recently, last year we had a couple. And we do have attorneys, we do have mental health professionals, you know, every call. And that's great because they need to know more about what it really is, how you can make it better, and nowhere can you get it better than these experts, nowhere.
Right.
And this seminar we're going to do, I mean, this not seminar, but conference is going to be out of this world as far as giving them strong meat of, so to speak, on alienation. So it's definitely necessary and needed.
Yeah, you know, I did a presentation for the Shared Parenting Council of Connecticut at the State House in the beginning of the year in January. And one of the things that, and I was giving a presentation on, I think the benefits of that everybody should start with mediation. I think it should be really the only option to start with when you file for divorce. And so, but what I noticed was from some of the state reps and stuff that I think people were not even aware of the kind of the tragedies and what goes on in family court. And I think people were not aware that even, oh, is that true? You don't, if you file a motion, you can't see your children. It may be like 3 months down the road before you even get to see the child again. And like, I think there's such a disconnect between our policymakers and the reality of what goes on in family court.
Yes.
And until you kind of fuse that together, we're not going to see any change.
That's true. And people need to understand these are state issues. Going federal, you'll not get anywhere. There's nothing really they can do there. It's a state by state issue. And the legislators do need to understand. I know when we had our parental grandparent alienation symposium in Kentucky, you know, we had some of the legislators there that helped with the equal shared parenting bill, great bill. And, you know, they really, some of them get it, and that's why they push. But they've got to be taught and let them understand truly what it is. Here in North Carolina, we have people in our legislature who are alienated grandparents, who are alienated parents. They do understand it, but unfortunately, a lot of the attorneys in the bar that are keeping them, you know, what they can and can't propose and sponsor on the bills, you know, they don't get it or really don't want to get it because it's hurting their pocketbooks if they do. And that's a shame that, and I've often wondered how some of them live with themselves or slept at night, you know, with them using these families just to make money. And now they're not saying they all are, absolutely not. Many more are stepping up that do get it, that do understand, and what I call are pit bulls in the court for these families, trying to help them to get to their whether they be their children or their grandchildren. And I'm grateful that we have more, but we need a whole lot more than what we have.
Absolutely. And when you were talking about the Kentucky shared parenting bill,
yes,
is that the bill where you know, it starts out at 50-50 shared parenting?
Yes.
Okay, and that isn't standard, right? I mean,
No,
that's not the norm.
No, there's just a few states now that have picked up on that. Kentucky really took the lead. They did it very quietly, which I thought was the right way to do it, because then the other, you know, people that were against it really didn't have a clue till they were there. Jason Patrick was their lead sponsor on the bill. He spoke at our symposium in Kentucky, and I had the opportunity to speak to him at great length. he gets it tremendously well. He mentioned several others that did. And also grandparents' rights. They're going to be kicking it up on grandparents' rights down there as well, because Jason gets that too, and he's ready to help fight for that. So Kentucky's really, you know, they've got it going on pretty well down there right now, and they're blessed to be doing so.
They might be the model state then too for the rest of us to jump on board.
Truly are. They truly are. I agree.
Well, that's great. So when's your next call, Elaine? And can you repeat again how people can get in touch with you if they'd like to jump on that call?
Yes, our next call is this Sunday night, July 19th. It's only a 1-hour call. Every month we do an 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And then every other month we do a call that's from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And this call will be in 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and it will be with attorney Robert Hoffman. And he's going to be speaking on litigation. And it actually is a replay. I don't know if you caught the first one that he did. It's a tremendous call. And Robert's also going to be speaking next year at our conference. But it's a great call on the manipulation and the litigation part of the courts. So that will be a good call to be on. To register, you would need to email me at FamilyAccessinc@AOL.com, or go to our website and look it all up and click on the email there. It's Family Access, fightingforchildrensrights.org. Again, there's much information on the website. We have professionals listed there. If you need a professional to hire, Colleen, you're on that page.
I am.
I'm very thankful for you being there. And we also have a page of books that you can buy that would help you. There's all kinds of pages there, and that's Family Access, fightingforchildrensrights.org.
That's awesome. Thank you, Elaine. I'm going to put that up on the YouTube channel. It will also connect to my Facebook, and it will connect to my website as well. So anyone looking to get on these calls, I can't stress enough I've been on these calls. I've known Elaine's organization for a lot of years now. I've referred people. I know some of the experts that she talks about, Stephen Miller, Amy Baker, Linda Gottlieb, like they are the cream of the crop when it comes to understanding in a layperson's terms what parental alienation is, how to best go about handling it, what to do for yourself, mistakes not to make. And I just actually saw on I think it was your Facebook, Elaine, Linda Gottlieb's little video, and even these little tidbits of a few minutes of information from these experts can be a game changer in your situation. And it is well worth coming on a monthly basis for the 1 hour or 2 hour calls to just sit and listen, just get in a quiet place, sit and listen and absorb, take notes about what these experts are saying. It's free information. It doesn't cost you a penny. You're not going to find that anywhere else, really. This is a global community. Unfortunately, it's a global community. As Elaine said earlier, we kind of wish it wasn't. Kind of wish you weren't adding states. But if you have to have this experience in your life, there couldn't be a better platform from which to gain information, knowledge, and support. And so, Elaine, thank you so much for coming on today. It really meant the world to me. I really appreciate you taking the time. I know how busy you are.
Thank you, Colleen. I'm honored to have had this opportunity to spend time with you and to see you too.
Yes, it's good to be with you as well. All right, well, Elaine, I'm sure I'll have you back on again. And good luck with your upcoming show this Sunday evening at 8 o'clock, the replay. And we'll talk again soon.
Thanks, Colleen.
All
God
right.
bless.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.